All right, welcome to the Snyder Report. I am your host, Gary Snyder. With me tonight is State Representative Cherrish Pryor. Cherrish, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back, Gary.
I think
It's been
you
a
would
while.
almost qualify as a regular, though. I mean,
Yeah,
you've probably been on more than most.
at least 3 or 4 times, but
Yeah,
I
and
got a little busy during session.
just a little. Looks like you're
Just a
going to be
little.
back in session here pretty soon, too.
I am hoping and praying not.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Those guys will cave faster than a rusted lawn chair when they get to the White House.
Yeah, in some ways, I think they've already caved. They're
Yeah.
just trying to,
Avoid all the backlash.
they're trying to shore up some support to make sure that they have all the votes.
Now I'm
So,
checking my shirt because as I mentioned, I was eating just before we came on, and I was just going to eat while I was doing it, and I was going to show everybody my great venison burger with brie cheese and bacon and blackberry drizzle on it. But my wife said, "No, I've seen you eat. You're not doing that."
well, and of course, you don't want to make the rest of us jealous, Gary. That wouldn't be fair.
So I would imagine I'm just checking because nine
You're
times out
fine.
of 10, something's on that shirt.
Hey, I would have told you. I would have told you.
Well,
Yeah.
it looks like the redistricting fight, it's already happened in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
which was just horrible the way that went down, locking an African American state representative inside the chamber, threatening her with jail because
Yeah.
she would not allow the Texas Department of Public Safety follow her around for 24 hours. Your
Yeah.
thoughts on that before we get to Indiana?
I just think, first of all, I was proud to be one of the Democrats that went to Chicago to participate in a press conference with my colleagues from Texas. And I'm proud of them because had they not stood up for democracy the way they did, the world would not know the evilness that is coming before this country. So they really gave an awakening to so many people in this entire world, which is watching us right now. So I'm very, very proud of them. And I
Yeah.
actually know Representative Collier. She's a friend of mine, and I've known her for years. And the bullying that was done in Texas, the threats that she had to endure is just crazy. I mean, it was just a complete confinement of her, and you wouldn't do that to shouldn't do that to anybody. She didn't break any laws. She didn't do anything wrong. The only thing that she was guilty of was standing up for something that the other legislators should have been doing, standing up to save this country and democracy. And for that, they locked her in the chamber.
And I applaud her for saying, screw you, you're not following me around and I'm not signing your stupid paper. But
Yeah.
why did the other state representatives not do it? That's my question. Why was she the only one that said, screw you?
And I don't know that. I haven't asked them that. I know, they had been gone for 2 weeks, and, some of them may have had obligations that they had to fulfill with their family, or, for whatever reason they did not. I know a few of them did change their mind and end up staying with her and came back. But, Nicole, I know her, and she's a fighter, and she stands up what she believes in. She's very principled, and she did what she needed to do. And and that even amplified, I think, the message that of the fights that we're in right now. And to just hear even today the senator say, that he's doing this simply to get more Republicans elected to office, not because it's good government,
No.
not because he's trying to uphold the Constitution of Texas and the United States, but only because he's got his marching orders for Donald Trump, and he want more Republicans to control to go.
And I was fortunate enough, over the last couple weeks to have former congressman, Senate candidate, presidential candidate, gubernatorial candidate Beto O'Rourke on. And then last week we had Colin Allred to discuss, what is happening in Texas. And it's kind of setting off the whole fight across the country. But as you mentioned, they've drawn attention to this to the point where California now is about ready to pass their new maps. They're doing it a little different than Texas. They're going to actually put it on the ballot.
Yeah.
Where it will probably pass, and it could pick up anywhere from 5 to 9 seats, at least from what I read, in California. Barack Obama, former President Obama, has come out. He's usually one that it doesn't like to get in the middle of a fight. He's come out for the maps, the whole process in California. Governor Newsom has said, I don't want to do this, but Texas is forcing us.
Yeah. They are, and I think that's the big thing. I think Republicans are saying, well, Democrats shouldn't be doing this. Well, Republicans are starting a fight that they don't need to be starting. And California is doing their system like that because they have this commission. What the Republicans are doing is making it harder for those of us who have been advocating for commissions to draw our own maps. You're making it more difficult for us to say it's a good thing because one day we may be on the receiving end again of Republicans deciding, well, hey, my policies are not good policies. I know we're not going to win in midterm elections or even in presidential elections. The people don't want me there. I'm going to lose my power. So I'm going to draw the maps again. Well, you know what? If you have good policies that are helping people, then you don't have to worry about getting reelected. You don't have to worry about your party having the majority of the seats. But the thing of it is, the big, beautiful bill was not a big, beautiful bill. It was a big, ugly bill and a big mess. And people are going to find that out. The Republicans have policies that are failing Americans. And the only way that the president, Donald Trump, can maintain control is to try to steal seats. And that's what Republicans are doing, and they're falling in line to do that. And, so my perspective is now if Republicans, they've opened that can of worms to redistrict during a mid-decade, then if Democrats have the opportunity to do that, we have to do that as well because it's bigger than just having seats. This is totally about saving democracy and not allowing this country to turn into a dictatorship. That to me is the core of where we are right now in this particular moment.
If you didn't suck so bad at doing their jobs, they wouldn't have to redistrict every 2 years to try to keep them.
Yeah. And
nothing is stopping them from doing this again in 2 years, and then another 2 years, and then another 2 years until they keep getting the results they want. And that scourge that started in Texas is sweeping across the Midwest and the South because now they're looking at Missouri. They're looking at calling a special session here in Indiana to try to get
Florida.
Indiana's 2 seats. Florida. Now New York is chiming in saying we might do something too. And it's going to be a never-ending battle where we will be, if you're a red state that is all red, you have both legislatures and a governor that's a Republican, they're gonna redistrict every 2 years. I mean, if they redistrict in Indiana and Mervan wins or Andre wins, they're going to try it again before the next election.
Yeah,
until they get it to where there are no Democrats in elected office. There's nothing stopping them from doing it at the state representative or the state senate either.
Yeah. And the thing about them doing it at the state level is there was a lawsuit that we had that said that you could only redistrict us for the state legislators every 10 years, but it didn't include the congressional seats. But to your point though, Gary, there is nothing stopping them from drawing out every Democrat when they are able to in what 2031
Hmm.
after we have our census. So, you know, it's good. It's what they're doing is really polarizing, and it's something that's going to be really extreme. And at some point, they're going to end up eating themselves. At some point, that's going to happen. And so, they need to be careful with what they're asking for, because it's only a matter of time where all of this that they're doing that is egregious for us Democrats and, quite frankly, all Americans, it's going to turn on them.
Cherrish, can you hold through a quick break?
Yes, absolutely.
You're listening to the Snyder Report. I'm Gary Snyder. We'll be right back. All right, this is the part of the Snyder Report where we thank our sponsors, and we have a growing list. So let's start with Robin Winston. Robin has been there when we first sent out our first email, 147 subscribers. We're now over 108,000. So thank you, Robin Winston, and helping us get the podcast going in the right direction. Next up is our good friend, former Congresswoman Jill Long Thompson. Her book, Across the Aisle, Why Bipartisanship Works for America. Get that anywhere you buy your books. Also, former two-term governor, two-term U.S. Senator Evan Bayh. Evan has been a sponsor of the newsletter, now jumps on board with the podcast. Congressman Andre Carson. Congressman Carson has been there from the start. We're glad to have him over here on the newsletter now. He needs your help to win re-election next year. So make sure you support Congressman Carson. Next up, State Representative Cherrish Pryor. Cherrish has been there from the start on the newsletter, joining us on the podcast now. So is State Senator Greg Taylor. I want to thank Senator Taylor for all of his support through the years. Next, we have a couple of new sponsors. First up is Indiana Citizen. You want to check out their new project, One Heartbeat Away. Do Christian nationalists have an agenda for Indiana? All you have to do is look at the lieutenant governorship and you can see right away that they do. So thank you, Indiana Citizen. Next up is Jump Laundry. You can visit them at jumplaundry.com. They have home pickup. They do your dry cleaning, wash and fold with, I might add, no judgments, and next day service. So if you're in a crunch for time, you don't want to do your own laundry, get a hold of Jump Laundry at jumplaundry.com or at 317-740-5011, and they will take care of all of your laundry needs. Welcome back to the Snyder Report. I am your host, Gary Snyder. As you can see, with me tonight is Representative Cherrish Pryor. We are talking about, I don't know, I hate to call it cheating because it is, but that makes it sound like you're playing a game of Monopoly. This is bigger than just cheating.
Mm-hmm.
This is taking away, democracy. When you look at Texas, if Texas was the only one doing this, then what would Indiana care because it's Texas? It's affecting that. No, it affects everyone because how the Congress is made up next year or in 27 when they all take office, it has a direct effect on our lives here in Indiana.
And it's already having an effect on people in Indiana. When you think about the impact that it's already having on SNAP, and the Republicans only have a two-person majority, the SNAP program's being cut, the LIHEAP program being cut that has heating and rental assistance. The president talking about getting rid of or having restrictions on Section 8 programs where people can only live in Section 8 housing for 2 years and giving people who are currently there 60 to 90 days to get out. I mean, those things are having major impacts on people. The tariffs that are happening. I mean, Everything is getting ready. The cost of everything is getting ready to go up. And this president said that the cost of everything was going to go down day one. He said that he was going to get us out of the war in Afghanistan, out of Gaza, day one. He was going to stop the war in Ukraine, day one. All those things he's promised, and none of that is happening. The only thing that we're seeing happening in this country is chaos and higher bills and bad policies from Donald Trump and the Republican Party. That is the only thing we're seeing. Nothing that is helping a single Hoosier or American when they sit at your dinner table.
And it's higher bills. I mean, I feel like screaming at these guys, whether it's Jim Banks putting his stupid face on Twitter, or Todd Young saying, "Oh, we passed the big bad beautiful bill" on his little Twitter feed, or Victoria Spartz screaming in Russian as loud as she can about how everything is great. When was the last time you bought a friggin' pound of hamburger and paid $7 for it? When was the last time you had to choose between paying your rent or mortgage or your car payment or your insurance or your electric bill that's up 30%? They don't care because they don't have to do it. We do.
Yeah.
We live
Yeah.
with those consequences. And until we take a stand, even though it is in Texas, it affects us and what we're paying every single day.
It does. It affects us, and it affects the people who have the least. The least people, the people who are living paycheck to paycheck, and some people not even paycheck to paycheck. Those people are going to have it much harder under these policies by Republicans. I mean, the middle income people, the people who are are barely making it, they're going to be making it less. And
There's
the
going to be
people who
no
are down,
middle class. There's going to be none.
yeah. And
There's going
I
to be
think
the very rich, the politically elite, and the poor. That's it.
yes, that's it. That's it. And it seems like that is the type of country that the president wants to have. The elite group that he can socialize with. And then there's the rest of us.
I'm sorry, go ahead. There's a little delay.
Oh, I'm sorry. And I think that the one thing that people need to understand is, people say, "Oh, my vote don't matter, doesn't matter, my vote doesn't matter." It does matter. It does. It may not affect you, but I guarantee you it's going to affect your loved ones. And if you voted for Donald Trump and these are policies are affecting the people that you care about, then think about how your vote is now impacting that person that you care about. And the fact that you may have to step in to help them just to get ahead and to live a decent life because of that vote that you made.
And I try to be a very empathetic person. I do. But this is what I'm saying, but this is what I really mean. It's hard to be empathetic when you see the Hispanic family crying because they deported someone's mother, even though they voted for Trump. It's hard to be empathetic to Trump voters who are now suffering, because I just want to sit here and scream, "Fuck you. You did this to us, and now you have to live with the consequences with us."
And people probably didn't realize that Trump meant was what he was saying. And I think folks in the Hispanic community was probably thinking he wasn't talking about them, but he was talking about all immigrants. All immigrants, doesn't matter whether you voted for him or not. Didn't matter. All he wanted to do was get into office so that he could carry out his policies. So people who, whether you're Hispanic and voted for him, or if you're black and voted for whatever group that you are that voted for Donald Trump, we're all suffering because of his policies. And those individuals that voted for him, who are suffering, who have family that's caught up in that crazy alligator, whatever they're trying to call the foolishness that they have going down in Texas. Their families are suffering because of decisions that you made. And they're going to have to live with that and make peace with the decision and with their vote. And the rest of us having to live, unfortunately, with those decisions as well.
At some point, people are going to want to have a house built, and they're not going to be able to because there's no migrant labor here to build the house. They're going to want to buy fresh vegetables, but they can't because everyone that works in agriculture has been deported or
Yeah.
afraid to go to work. And you can,
And
at some point, they're going to have to close nursing homes because the immigrants that work there, which are a lot, aren't going to show up to work because they're going to afraid to be deported or someone in their family is going to
they
be
are.
deported.
People
And
people are afraid. They're afraid to go to church,
health care, you
and
can
that's
go
not fair to them.
down the line.
Yeah.
And I had Charlestown Mayor Treva Hodges on last night. She said she has a budget of $4 million. She has to cut $1.2 million because of Senate Bill 1.
Mm. That's devastating. That's devastating. But I think the farmers are now catching it as well. Many of them voted for Trump, and some of them may lose their farms because of their vote for Trump because they don't have anyone to work their farms and to harvest
Just brush it
their
off.
crop. And some of them thought that black people was going to come and do that work. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
my thing,
well,
we black people, African Americans, we have worked the fields, we have worked the farms, we built this country for free, picking cotton, chopping cotton, and doing all those hard labor things during slavery.
yeah, I was
We're
gonna say,
not coming
why'd they
back.
get paid for it? Why'd they get paid for it?
Yeah,
Nothing. They get
absolutely
beaten if
nothing. And
they looked
no.
at their slave owner wrong.
Yeah. And
Uh,
guess what? The African American community, we're not coming back to pick
no,
anything
nor should
on
you.
anybody's farms. Any picking that we're going to do is going to be on the land that we owned, and that is going to be stuff that we're harvesting ourselves. But, so there are people who, you know,
Well,
like Trump was saying, the
you just made our
Hispanic
show
community were
woke
taking
now.
our well, I'd rather be woke than dead.
All right, Cherish. So these legislators are going to the White House on the 25th, 26th, something like that. We've already
One day next
seen
week.
every congressional Republican, every statewide Republican already fold. I'm guessing that the few holdouts that are kind of speaking up now will probably fold by the time they walk out of the White House because
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk is going to primary somebody. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can we do? What can you do? I guess we'll start. What can Indiana Democrats in the General Assembly do? Because you are a super minority. They don't even have to let you in the doors and can still do it.
Yeah, we don't have to show up and they'll still pass. But I took oath and what I'm and even though they'll pass those maps over my objection, strong objection, quite frankly, I'm still going to be there and I'm still going to be very vocal and explain to them why it's a bad idea and why they shouldn't be doing it. And there have been
Don't
some
drop an F-bomb though. That was probably wrong.
I won't do that. I won't do that, but the way that things are happening now in this country, it makes it very difficult for people to not drop the F bomb or say things because it's just so hurtful what they're doing. Because a lot of the districts that are going to be taken away are going to be Congressional Black Caucus members. So it's going to hit the African American community disproportionately. And so our voice at the congressional level is going to be that much more silenced. And that is a big problem. So I'm going to be there and I'm going to be fighting. Even if, even though we may not have votes, I'm still going to be fighting. What's going to be interesting though is, the Republicans that have said they don't support this. Are they going to show up and vote? Are they going to show up? Because, you know, if enough of them say, you know what, no, we're not coming in, then they don't have a quorum because they're going to have a quorum to conduct business. So, are you going to show up to give them a quorum? Because to me, voting no, that's the easy part. The hard part is whether or not we're going to have a quorum to even have an opportunity to vote.
Yes, they will show up because they're
Yeah.
cowards.
They're going to show up and then they're going to vote no. Then they're going to vote no. They're going to say, well, I was against it. Well, if you were against it, then you want to make sure that you told them, look, I'm not going to come. I'm not going to, if you're totally against this, then, don't let them get a quorum.
Well,
Say, no, we're
then
not going
you'll
to show up so you don't have a quorum. So we can't vote.
then you'll have King Braun and his court jester Todd Rokita with a Q sending out the state police to drag everyone's ass in.
Yeah. Yep. They will.
All right.
And it's unfortunate, and
You better
it's
answer
unfortunate
that.
that I'm sure it's a spam call. That's all I get on my
Same
home
here.
phone these days. And I think I'm probably one of the only people in the world that has a landline, but
Todd Rokita's awfully worried about those damn robocalls until the Republicans are doing it.
yeah. Yep.
Anything else you want to talk about tonight besides my language?
Well, I can come back again and talk about that AES bill that's, getting ready to knock residential people on their behinds.
Electric bills right now are out of control. Just
They
like
are out of control.
just about like everything else. And our good friend Robin Winston asked me, he goes, what's it going to take? What's it going to take for that? Never mind what it's going to take for someone in Indianapolis, but what's it going to take someone living in rural Indiana to finally wake up and say, I'm not voting for a Republican anymore? And I had to think about it, and I'm like, I don't know that there is. And
I don't
then
know if there is either.
because I think a lot of it is, it's not necessarily economic, it's not class, it's not, you can go down the line. I think it has to do with brown people, number one. Maybe
Brown
not
and
that
black
they're
people.
brown and black people. And I think that it's going to take, if they are going to change, it's going to have to be economic pain. And I think that they're about ready to find out what economic pain is. And we will find out if it's economic pain that will make them finally wake up and start voting for their interests. Or are they going to say keeping black and brown people down and out of power is still more important than my economic pain?
I think that's probably why Donald Trump is telling the Republicans to do this redistricting, because the economic pain
It's
is going
coming.
to set
It's
in.
here.
It's here, but it's here. But people are still able to make it in some fashion. When people are not able, when prices go much higher, when all those tariffs set in and all the businesses inventory is gone, and then they're having to buy stuff at a higher amount, and people are really seeing their dollar isn't going nearly as far as it used to. And when companies have to start laying off people because they just can't make payroll with the number of people that they have, people are going to start feeling the pain. I know Republicans, I think they know that. And because they know that they cannot win under the policies that they have and under the current economic environment that Trump and themselves have put us in, they know that they can't win under the current maps.
You
They
know,
know that.
all I'm saying is $7 a pound for hamburger.
You know,
Hamburger. $7.
I try to get stuff. I try to.
If you were going to buy your kid a PlayStation 5 for Christmas, it's $50 more today because of tariffs.
And you
And
know what? It's
you
probably
want
going to
that
be more
veggie
than
tray?
that.
You
It's
want that
probably going to
veggie
be more
tray?
than that in November.
You want that veggie tray? That's up about 78%.
Everything
So,
is costing so much more, and then we have these utilities companies that are increasing their rates
30.
because 38, we're getting ready to pay potentially $30 more for AES. And if those rate increases go through, and then we have those small modular reactors, SMRs, that the utility companies can start building, and they can start billing ratepayers even without the ratepayers receiving one single benefit. So on the one hand, I got to maintain the current system for getting my utilities, my electricity. I got to maintain that. And then the utility might decide that they want to do these SMRs, and they can start billing me for, I think, 70 or 80% of that without me even benefiting. And so people are going to be squeezed. People are going to be squeezed with just utility bills.
And I can't remember the exact quote, but, we're not in trouble here because we're giving help to the poor and middle class. We're in trouble because we can't satisfy the hunger of the wealthy.
Yeah, you're right. And
So
their hunger runs deep. Um,
it's
it seems like
it's a black hole.
it's a
You
black
can't
hole as
satisfy
long
the
as
wealthy enough.
you can't. Not as long as we're eating. They'd be
No.
satisfied if we weren't eating. It seems like, and the people who have far less than us, and the fact that some people want to criminalize homelessness. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It is a never-ending list. The people, and the thing that I don't get and understand is, how is it that you can claim to be the party of Christianity when the policies that you implement hurt the least of these?
That's not the Jesus that I follow.
No, I
That's not what
mean,
I learned in Catholic Catechism School, CCD, at
yeah, yeah.
Wednesday night when I wanted to be playing baseball.
So what we do to the least of the we do that to God.
You
So
know,
what we're doing to God is starving him. What we're doing to God is not providing a home. What we're doing to God is not giving him health care. I mean, so not we, that's what they're doing to the least of thee. And so how do you stand before God and say, well, you know what? I think I need to get to heaven. You didn't give me no food, you didn't give me no water, or you contaminated my water, allow my water to be contaminated. You didn't give me health care. You didn't provide me proper education. You didn't do any of these things for me, but you want to get into heaven now.
but hey, the billionaires got another tax cut.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about before we run tonight?
No, I think that's it, Gary. There's so much stuff.
That's enough, isn't it?
We just can't cover everything in one show. We'd be here
Well,
for days.
We would. Cherrish, where can people find out more about you, your campaign? Need to make sure that we get you reelected next year. The work
Yeah.
you do is important, and we got to make sure that you stay there.
Yeah, thank you, Gary. I appreciate that. So you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky. And I also have my legislative newsletter. So if you go to the Indiana General Assembly website, go to my page on that website. Then you can get my newsletters, which go out bi-weekly. I try to keep people informed about things that are happening in my community. And yeah, so I'm
Th-
available, so people can always follow me, see what I'm
Thank
doing.
you. Thank you, Cherrish.
Thank you, Gary.
I'm Gary Snyder. She is not. She is State Representative Cherrish Pryor. This is the Snyder Report. We are out.